The exchanges are heating up between candidates for mayor about the possibility of a casino at Suffolk Downs, the leadership on the police department, and public safety. Our guest has been doing his share, along with giving attention to topics such as climate change and education. We'd like to welcome candidate for mayor of Boston, once again, Bill Walczak. Thank you very much for being with us, Bill.
Very happy to be here.
Earlier today, you weighed in on what ought to be done about leadership in the police department. Commissioner Ed Davis says his hands are tied a lot of the time because of civil service requirements, but you say that maybe not so much.
No, I'm saying that civil service is the civil service exam is the major problem in dealing with this. I mean, Chris, I was a CEO for 32 years and was able to assemble great teams of leaders who were able to do great work and represent the diversity of the Cobbin Square community. That was never a problem. But at no time did I even think about the possibility that I should choose these folks based on some sort of test score. So it's quite an anomaly that only exists in certain areas, such as promoting people in the police department, that they have to go by test score. And that seems, frankly, to be an absurdity. You're looking for, in a senior manager, you're looking for somebody who can fit in with the chemistry of the rest of the senior managers, somebody who knows how to achieve the goals, who has the ability to represent the needs of that particular area, which, of course, in the police department is ability to communicate effectively with both the line staff, or the policemen, as well as the community. So you need to have the diversity would be, of course, part of that. But we don't allow that in the police department because we have this requirement of making promotions via test scores. And what I'm saying is that that's unnatural. It's just not the right way of doing things, and it's not the kind of thing that's done anywhere else in society. So why do we do it in the police department? I think we need to change it. You know, I'm not totally opposed to the idea of having a test for certain requirements of the job, but it should be a minor part of the decision-making process. And that would allow Ed Davis, who has told me personally that he is totally committed to a diverse senior leadership, that would allow him to choose senior leadership that reflects diversity as well as very talented, the kinds of talent you need to run the police department.
Well, the kind of reliance on testing that we have right now is under legal challenge, and
Yes.
and one of the things we're hearing is that, well, we have to wait for that challenge to be resolved before we can do something different.
I don't think so. I mean, the way I read the law is the governor can convene the Civil Service Commission and look at ways that we can change the methodology. I think the Civil Service Commission really needs to look at this before the decision's made regarding whether it's discriminatory or not. We know it's discriminatory, at least in terms of the ability of the leader of the department to be able to assemble the team he or she needs to make things happen in the city. That's the thing I want to deal with. I want to be able to deal with this. And I certainly, when I'm elected mayor, I will deal with this with the governor and with the Civil Service Commission, because it just seems to me this is an archaic way of dealing with hiring.
Turning to public safety, citywide, the Municipal Research Bureau says violent crime is down, but we have more shootings, and in Roxbury's Area B2, many more people are being killed. So what should we be doing that we're not doing already?
Well, I mean, there's a long-term and there's a short-term solution to violence. The short-term solution is really the effort that was made in the 1990s, the so-called Boston Miracle years, where we assembled people on a regular basis. I used to go to meetings every Wednesday morning representing the Cobbin Square Health Center to talk about what could be done, what are the problems that we're hearing about, what are the things we're seeing among the patient population. If we're able to reassemble that kind of thing, not only involving the nonprofits and the police force that we did, of course, in the past, but also teachers. Teachers are bellwethers. They understand when a child is going awry, when a family is not working well, when there's problems, serious problems that need to be addressed. And we need a crisis intervention team that goes out into the communities and deals with the families that are right at the edge of being involved in criminal justice problems, violent crime. We often have an early warning system that we ignore, and we need to not ignore it anymore. On the long-term basis, we need to make sure kids have careers. I mean, we need to make sure that kids have hope as they're going through high school. When they're going through high school and they think that there's no future for them, there's no job other than maybe flipping burgers or something like that, that produces a hopelessness that leads kids in the wrong direction. We need to make sure that we're out there. We have the greatest school system that's possible, with caring adults that monitor these things and make sure the kids are going in the right direction. But also we need to transform our school system so that we're preparing kids for careers, hopeful careers in the future, rather than just a diploma.
Recently, you're at a forum on the dropout problem, and what did you tell young people? What's the best thing you can do right now?
Well, the best thing that we can do, we need we need to transform our high school system So that, I mean, we are reducing the dropout rate, right? I mean, that's one of the
Until very
things.
recently. It was getting better. Now it started getting
It's
a
gotten
little
a
worse.
little worse,
again.
but in fact, it's better than it was a few years ago. But the problem with that is that getting a diploma that doesn't give you an opportunity of a career is not exactly helping you along that way. It may give you, you have a diploma. It's certainly a credential that's helpful in getting a job, but it's not going to get you a good job. What we need to transform our school system so that it's built around it. My education policy calls for 11th and 12th grade career academies that are linked directly to businesses and academic institutions and hospitals, so that kids that are in the 11th and 12th grade are not just going through school, but they're actually being prepared for a career in a meaningful scope of work.
I want to ask you about your ideas around the casino, because you are the only candidate who's really come out there and said there's something else we can do instead. An innovation district in the part of East Boston bordering Revere at Suffolk Downs. Can you really have one there?
Of course you can. I mean, to me, that's the no-brainer of this. I mean, beyond the issues of putting a casino on the blue line, like a couple of stops away from addiction, shall we say? I think, and we all know, of course, that it's working class and poor people that wind up going to casinos and losing their money. That's one of the major problems. We're not dealing with that issue in itself, although the mitigation agreements all talk about what we need for gambling addiction services and dealing with, crises, families in crises because of the casino. Well, we could avoid all of that and produce jobs. If you go over to East Boston, you're going to see all these signs everywhere. It's about the jobs. And it should be about the jobs, but it shouldn't be about casino jobs. The average casino job pays $22,000 a year. It's called a blackjack dealer. And the blackjack dealer is a person who, is not really having much of a career, but certainly is not making much money either. In fact, it's about the same amount of money it takes to live in the city of Boston on an annual basis. So let's get past the moral issue, which is a big issue for me, because out of the public health world, I can tell you any kind of addiction is bad. But let's look at what we can do with that space to produce jobs that actually pay a living wage, that allow people to work and make a living and be able to stay in the city of Boston. And those are jobs that are not in the casino industry. What we need to do is we need to outline that area as a light manufacturing district, green jobs, high tech, a whole array of different jobs that could be placed in there, because we know that the South Boston Innovation District is working. That's one of the brilliant ideas of Tom Menino, is that we have an innovation district in Southie, and that innovation district is filling up very rapidly. And once it's filled up, we need another location for it. I know that out in Watertown, there's a plan for an innovation district out there. I want to see those jobs in the city of Boston. But one of the reasons why the South Boston district works is because it's on the road to the airport. Well, Suffolk Downs is on the road to the airport, right on the road to the airport, and it can be very successful. I know it can be successful. If we had a good planning process for East Boston that dealt with all of the alternatives, I'm sure one of the alternatives they would have come up with for the alternative to the casino would have been an innovation district over there that produces good jobs.
A little time about climate change. One thing that you think we have to do in the near future that we're not doing right now.
Implement the plan. That's the big issue. I mean, when I looked at the Green Ribbon Commission recommendations and the plans that we have out of City Hall, they're great. They're great plans. A reduction to 80% by 2050, 30% renewable energy by 2020. Great plans, great ideas. We need to actually implement those ideas. The first part of it's pretty easy, but the next part is going to be more difficult. We need to make sure that every building that's built is built with the ability to accommodate solar panels. And that needs to be placed right into the ordinances and zoning code for the city of Boston. If we're able to do things like that, we'll be able to make sure that we're not contributing as much to global warming. And we need to do that as regions, because the federal government really isn't helping out. So as a region, and that's another thing I stand for, is regionalization. We need to make sure that we deal with the economy, the environment, health issues, transportation as a region, and I will do that as mayor.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Candidate for mayor of Boston, Bill Walczak.